Okay, so maybe we can begin and some more people will join on the way. So hello everybody, thank you for joining this information day about the PARROT program, financing cooperation between French and Estonian researchers. So first the presentation will be recorded and then we'll send it afterwards to the people who registered. So just to introduce myself quickly, I'm the new scientific and academic attaché at the French Institute of Estonia, so replacing Theodore that you might have met in the past. And so I'll be your new contact person for the program. So if you have any questions or to deal with all the administration, you'll get in touch with me afterwards. So I'll let Maria from ETAG do the presentation, and then Theodore, as former scientific attaché, will give a bit more perspective about the program and some statistics. And then at the end, you'll be able to ask your questions, either raising your hands and using the microphones or on the chat.
So welcome everyone. We will talk today about the PARROT program. PARROT is a French-Estonian science and technology cooperation program which is implemented in France by the Ministry of Europe and Foreign Affairs and the Ministry of Higher Education, Research and Innovation, and in Estonia by the Ministry of Education and Research. And in Estonia, the program is coordinated by Estonian Research Council and Cooperation and Cultural Action Service of the French Embassy in Estonia. And it's quite an old program already. The first joint travel grant application round was held in 2002, and to date there are 140 applications submitted in 9 public competitions with 76 joint projects funded. And the aim is to develop research and technology cooperation between the two countries in all fields of fundamental and applied science, including humanities and social sciences. And the call is launched in every 2 years. And here you can see some important dates and deadlines. The next application round opens on 30th of March this year, and the deadline for applications is 31st of May. And the release of results will be in December, and the start of the projects in January next year. And who can apply? It's open to researchers from research laboratories attached to higher education institutions or research organizations, and companies may also participate if associated with an academic partner. And it's important that projects that have already received support under this program are not eligible for a new application immediately after their completion. And also it's important to say that the partners must submit an identical joint application in English to the responsible authorities in both countries. And what are the eligible expenses? As already said, it's a travel grant competition. So the resources granted by Estonia cover exclusively the payment of daily allowances and travel expenses for Estonian researchers. So the daily allowances are 110 euros per day, and we also reimburse of actual travel costs up to maximum of 500 euros per return journey Estonia, France, including medical insurance costs. And the resources granted by France cover exclusively the payment of daily allowances and travel expenses for French researchers. So the daily allowances are 100 euros per day, and also they will reimburse the actual travel costs up to 450 euros, including medical insurance costs. And yeah, the funding covers only the cost of mobility between the two countries of researchers involved in the program, and any other funding necessary for the implementation of joint projects must be provided by the partner laboratories' own resources or from other sources. And in the last call for applications in 2020, we had 10 projects selected for 2 years with a success rate of 50% and an average annual funding of 5,000 euros. And what are the project evaluation criteria? Firstly, scientific quality of the project. Also the quality and competence of the French and Estonian teams. And also it's very important to have the active participation of young researchers, in particular doctoral and postdoctoral students. Also interest of cooperation and complementarity of French and foreign teams. And the prospects for structuring or enhancing the project, and priority will be given in particular to network projects with a European dimension. And there's also particular attention will be paid to projects that fit into the political priorities of the European Union, as expressed in the new Horizon Europe Framework Programme. And now I'm going to talk about the project selection. Eligible projects will be assessed separately by the two parties, and they will decide then jointly which projects to choose. For the French side, the Delegation for European and International Affairs of MESRI will carry out the scientific evaluation of the dossiers. And for the Estonian side, it will be done by the Evaluation Committee of Estonian Research Council. What are the methods of operation? As said before, the duration of the project is 2 years, and the funding is granted on an annual basis for 2 consecutive years. It must be used up between 1st of January and 31st of December and cannot be carried over to the following year. And the funding partners reserve the right to decide on the funding for the second year of a joint project that has not been launched in the first year or has partially completed the work plan. And the renewal of funding for a second year is subject to an optimal consumption of the funding granted for the first year, the submission of a progress report mentioning the scientific results obtained, and the mobilities carried out or planned before the end of the current year, and the drafting of a financial report on the actions carried out or planned before the end of the calendar year. And about project monitoring. A final scientific and financial report is required no later than 3 months after the end of the project. And the French project leaders must imperatively use the downloadable report template and attach it to their online application within this deadline. And particular attention will be paid to scientific co-publications written within the framework of this project. Which must mention the support granted by the Ministries of Europe and Foreign Affairs and of Higher Education, Research and Innovation. And how to apply? For the Estonian side, you should send field application form to the Estonian Program Manager. And when the call opens, we will put the application form to our Estonian Research Council website, so you can find it from there. And for the French side, it will be done it will be sent to Campus France via the extranet. And here's some points about the support ETAC or Estonian Research Council offers. First of all, we have information on ETAC webpage about the PARROT cooperation program and also 2 other bilateral cooperation programs with Taiwan and Japan. Also, you can join with a newsfeed in the email list, but it's in Estonian. And also we have a Facebook group, but it's also in Estonian actually. And here you can find the contacts for the French part and contact for the Estonian part. And that's all from me at the moment. Thank you.
Hello everyone. So I will just give us some insights about the program. As I used to be at Meli's position until recently. There are some nice data to have in mind, and yeah, I will start with the first one. We conducted a survey about the program for the 15 years of the program in 2018, and we had this first satisfaction rate of 95%. So researchers are mostly really interested in this program. And why? Because it's a good time-money ratio. Like, it's not too much paperwork. It's easy to apply, and usually the funding is great according to the time you invested in. And I know it's important for you, as you may have a lot of other call for application everywhere. So we keep that in mind. Also, the success rate is pretty interesting. If you see all the data starting 2003, the start of this program, it was between 40 and 100%. 100% was in 2007. It's not an objective. It was maybe an exception, and I hope it will remain like this. But you can see that. Like, the objective, of course, is to stay around 50%, 40–50%, but it's still pretty good rate, I would say, compared to other programs. About the funding, we already, Maria already mentioned that. So in average, it's like 10,000 euros per project. In total for 2 years. So if you reduce, it's like 5,000 per year on average, or 2,500 per side for the French side and for the Estonian side. Of course, it can be a bit higher. It can go up to 4,000 if we think that you really need this money to conduct your project. It can be less if you ask less. If you're, I don't know, if you're in mathematics, maybe you don't need to use a lot of reactive, and maybe you don't need all of this money. It's always the same. You know that better than me, and yeah, I will not go further in that. But yeah, the trend is really good on the program. We have an increased number of selected projects. Maria said we had 10 on the last session. It was the highest ever. We hope that we will keep this trend going on. Also, about the application, we had a really great number of applications last year, 20. It was also the highest ever. So yeah, we want to make this going on. And so with more success, we attract also more funding. So we had extra funding from the Ministry of Higher Education and Research in France last year, and also a new one-time grant for this year. So maybe if this trend still is going on, we can even maybe think bigger. But yeah, so we can always hope for the best with a good team behind. I will just insist on one point that Maria said. The funding has to be really used within the year. We had researchers, like, of course, we had an exception in 2020 because of COVID, but it was really exceptional. And even in last year, in 2021, researchers who couldn't use their money, well, of course, we looked case by case, but it's not really automatic that they got renewed their grant for the second year. So I really, there are always ideas. We can help you with that, to use your money for the best in the year. If you have some trouble, just contact Meli or Maya, and there will be we can help you to find some ways to use your money the best. Also, I will insist on that the scientific evaluation of your project is the most important, of course, and it's not conducted by the embassy. It's for the French side, at least, it's conducted by the Ministry of Higher Education and Research. So we have this data in mind, and of course we look at them. We base our evaluation on this data, but we cannot fund project rated B or lower. It has to be A or A plus for the French side. It's really important. If you're B or less, it's impossible. There is no way we could fund that. And also, it's a negotiation between France and Estonia. It has to interest both countries. So sometimes we don't have the same evaluation. Basically, in the past, we were pretty we agree on most of the project, but sometimes one project can be we can discuss it. So you also have to keep that in mind. About the disciplines, the scientific fields, of course, all of them are eligible, and we try to keep a balance. So it's not all in one discipline, and if you look at the past project funded, it never has been all in one field. Yeah, so really you can apply in every field. But it has to be really a new collaboration. We will look into the past of your collaboration. If you're already, for example, if the two PIs of the project already published 10 years ago a paper, it means that they know each other already. And for us, of course, you have still a chance to be rated, to be selected if we have money for you, and it's still a really interesting project. But it will not be the spirit and the priority of the program. It's really it aims to start new collaboration, for example, with someone that you met in a congress and you want to develop a collaboration. It's a good money to start with. And also keep in mind that a lot of other, I would say, political criteria may come into play. So about, for example, and not only political, about all kind of aspects, for example, the gender balance, the geographical balance, for example, about like which institution, we care about which institution gets, but it's not, of course, it's not the main criteria. The main criteria is scientific, but at the margin for a few projects, we could see at this data to determine which project goes on. So I said gender balance, geographical balance, integration of the project into a more global scientific policy that we can conduct at ETAG or at the embassy, and also the involvement of young researchers in the project. If we look in the past, we saw that the average age of the researchers are a bit higher than the other partnerships France have with other countries. Yes, and I just saw on the preparation that we had 2 questions. One about permanent position, like can someone with not really permanent, not a tenure position, apply for this program? The answer is yes, of course. You are eligible. But we had in the past some PIs who lived for another position during, like within the project time, and so it put the project at high risk. Sometimes so we don't know what can happen, but of course if you're in not stable position, it could mean that you have higher risk to move maybe to another one. So it's something we will keep an eye on, but it's not, of course, it's one of the criteria, I would say. But of course you are eligible, and if you really think that you will stay at your position, and yeah, there is no problem to apply, of course. And yeah, I think I answer everything. And maybe we can, I don't know, open the question. Or Maya, you had something to add, or?
No, actually not. We can, yeah, open the question. Yes, we will definitely share the slides.
Hello, everyone. Can I ask you a question? Thank you very much for your presentation. Shortly, I want to introduce myself. I'm a French researcher, but actually I'm working in Estonia, in Tartu. I have a personal grant, a project starting grant funded by ETAG. And so I have two questions. The first one, I really want to understand if this grant is a personal grant, or it's, I mean, it will be for me to travel, for example, in France and to visit some people in France, or to involve other researcher or some other postdoc or young researcher.
Yeah, yeah. Usually, they're like a researchers team behind the project, but we have had some projects with only like a grant holder from Estonia and grant holder from France, but as we support to have like young researchers in the project, and it would be definitely better if there are more than one person from one country involved in the project. So.
Okay, and about what Theodore said before about this new collaboration, does it need to be new on both sides, or for example, in my case, on Estonian side, it will be people I work with right now, and I make a new collaboration with new people in France, or it's really new for both sides?
I'm not sure I understand what you mean exactly, but it has to be really. I mean, we will not track if, for example, in Facebook 5 years ago you met this researcher somewhere, but it just like, for example, if you never published something with, or if the connection is not established between the two laboratories, yeah, it's really interest us. It's just like it's a new bridge between two institutions.
I understand, but on my side, for example, in Estonia, who I can involve in, you know, I can understand that this new collaboration toward France, but in Estonia, I have to be based on people I know and I work with here, no? I'm not sure I understand really much. Do you understand what I mean? From my side, I'm in Estonia, I'm based here, I'm working with people in Estonia, okay, but these people I publish with. So I can understand that it's new collaboration for the French side.
No. It has to be a new bridge between France and Estonia. But in Estonia, okay, you can involve someone that you know for 10 years. You have already published a lot, and yeah, no problem. Okay, it has to be a new connection between France and Estonia.
Okay, is what I wanted to know. Okay, thank you very much.
So we have received some questions in the chat. So the first one is, can you share the slides? I already answered to that. Yes, we will share the slides and external links as well. And the second question is about how is evaluated the quality rank of the project? So I don't really understand the question, but maybe Theodore, you can answer that.
What is the question?
How is evaluated the quality rank of the project?
The quality rank. Well, yeah. This is assessed by for the French side from the ministry. It's a scientific. There is okay. There is two components to this criteria. It's of course the scientific quality. So I'm not a scientific myself. So about this assessment, it has to. I guess it's I will say it's assessed by people from the same field. But the quality, it can be also about the team, about like what they have published already. Of course, it's not only about impact factor and H index. This is something we try to change. Of course, in France, for example, there is a strong trend of with all the open science policies and the new assessment criteria, and we try to not look only at that, but also to just have a more qualitative assessment of the project. It's about also the profile also of the team, the innovative criteria about the project, if it's really interesting or not. I understand it could be blurry but this is really not us who do the job about that. And I guess it's the same for all kind of call for application in terms of in science.
Thank you, Theodore. And there is another question. Is there an age limit or maximum years already spent in research? No, there is no age limit. And if we are French and working a PhD researcher in Estonia, I guess we still rely of the Estonian side of the grant. Yes, exactly.
There was also Alexandra's hand raised, I think.
Hi everyone, sorry I'm not able to turn on my camera because I'm not aware that my internet connection is good. So the question is, as a PhD student, may I be a principal applicant from, let's say, from the French side? So may I just apply as a kind of team leader, also having as team members other French researchers who are not PhD students, but for instance, professors or researchers? Sorry, can you hear me? Because I'm not sure that I see your reaction.
Yes, no, I'm not sure I understood the question, but Maya, did you?
Actually, I didn't as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will try to rephrase. So let's say I'm a PhD researcher, and so whose name should be mentioned in the application as a principal team member? Because let's say if could be I as a team leader, plus having let's say professors and senior researchers in my team. But I will be a principal researcher or principal applicant from.
Well, it's related also to the point as I mentioned about a permanent position or not. If you're a PhD student, you're less stable than it's not a permanent position. So of course we will keep that in mind in the evaluation, and also you maybe published less, and you have I would say you have I don't know. It's more risky, but if you have a really good project, it's also maybe a risk to take. For this, I don't have any insight for you. It could be actually maybe innovative to put yourself as PI and involve a older researcher as I don't know, scientific backup, or someone you will send. I don't know. This is something I never saw, but I don't know, Maya, if you already did we have a PhD student as PI in the past?
I'm trying to remember, but I really don't know. It's a difficult question, yeah.
Yeah, we had one application last year who was actually pretty well rated scientifically. However, we didn't have enough money to fund him, but it was a really good project. Actually, it may have passed, so it's a possibility. Yes.
Okay, the situation is that I already participate in the PARROT program, but from Estonian side. And in Estonia, I have a status of associate professor. But in France, now I moved to France, and now I'm a PhD researcher in France. So, and I'd like to build a bridge between Estonia and France with new universities in France. And on this point, so I'm not a kind of young researcher, I'm kind of established researcher already, and I have a really good record of publication. But my status in France as a PhD researcher, that is my question. So I'm just trying to build a bridge between new universities in France and junior universities in Estonia. So that's my idea.
I think it fits perfectly.
Does it sound interesting?
Yeah, it fits perfectly the spirit of the program. So I would say, yeah, go for it.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you.
There is a.
Yeah.
Liam Laurent?
Yep. I think it was a really interesting question, because from what I understand, most of the time in such programs, you have the team leader which built the application and ask for the money. But in fact, it can be like PhD students that are doing the work. So what I'm not sure if I understood well, is it nominative? Like, if, for example, the team leader is asking for the money, is the money nominative for the travels, or can it be used by other members of the team, and therefore it has to be the PhD student, for example, that will do the work, that will have to make the file for application?
It's mostly what happens. Yes. I mean, it's mostly PhD students who travel, except if the grant is for two. Just like it happens, it happened in the past many times that it's only two researchers working together on a project, and so the researcher travel with this money alone. But usually with one grant you do 3 trips per year, and the 3 trips is like 3 persons doing a field trip.
Not nominative and
no.
Okay.
No.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, I think there is another question on the chat about the expected outcomes of the collaboration.
Well, that is, I would say, of course, in the mind of like in the spirit of the cooperation, we hope that there will be, for example, a joint publication or like some not some proofs. Of course, it's expected output. It's of course some research project just have one time. It's just a one shot, and it doesn't lead to anything, and it's okay. It's research, but sometimes we hope that it will really initiate a bridge. So it will initiate new scholarships, new grants from other programs. We said European also perspective, like if this can lead to European project. We had some this in the past, that it could initiate some collaboration with a third country, and then or this cooperation with this program, PARROT, was used within I don't remember this network, cost within a cost network, to start on to work on the bilateral sides, and then it could initiate some European perspective. But yeah, it's just that we will evaluate if this program has also some perspective, some future behind. But of course, it's only expected, and future never is what we expect exactly. But this is definitely something you can work on in the description of your project.
So I don't see any other questions at the moment.
So hello. I just have one question, because I'm PhD here in Talvik, and I need to collaborate my old university. Is it possible? In France, yeah, in Poitiers, I mean, because I have some expert there, and what I need, I just like the thing that I need, I just have one possibility to find there in their laboratory. Like, I don't know if it's possible or not.
You mean you have trouble to identify a laboratory to work with in France?
Yeah, I mean, like I was in France, then I come here in Estonian, but I'm PhD here. But I need to collaborate by own university. Is it possible? Just in case.
Yeah, we come back to this question of new collaboration, but
because I mean, new collaboration, it depends things you need, because if you need that, what the thing that you need is you can find it in your old university.
Yeah. You're totally right. It's I guess it has to be explained in the description of the project, like for example what you want to create, and it's just not because if it's working on a project that you could work by your old connection, and but I know that you are in Estonia right now, so to go to France to do some I don't know in which field you are, but if you have to do some field research experiments, of course you need money to travel, and but it's I don't know if it's with someone that you already published with or work with, it's not exactly the spirit of the program. But if it's to build something sustainable between the two universities and this bridge doesn't exist yet, yes, it really interests us.
Yeah, it's not existing yet because I was last time I was talking with my ex-supervisor, but yeah, she told me that it's possible. But yeah, I already plan to do it. But as I see this possibility, then I say I can fit it directly if it's possible.
I think if you bring around yourself, if you gather a team of people who don't know each other and that we will collaborate with, it's even more interesting.
Yeah, it's new. It's new. Like it's totally new. Our department in my old department where I graduated, there is no link in it. Just everything is new.
Okay, then
okay, that's great.
That's good.
Yeah, that was my question. Thank you.
So any other questions? So we already shared contact, so you can always contact us. Okay, but I think we can finish this really informative information day. And thank you very much, Theodore, for your insight and for your experience. So,
no problem. I hope this helped, and I hope there will be many applications this year.
Yes, hope so too. So thank you and have a nice day.
Thank you.
Thank you.